The TV president and the reality TV president. How is this possible that they look so much alike? Martin Sheen played the president on TV for 7 seasons from 99 to 2006, almost 2 full terms. By then, we were very used to seeing this face in the White House. Many of the people who think Trump is the opposite of what a good president should be credit President Bartlett with embodying that ideal. He looked like he belonged there so much that some Irish people wanted Martin Sheen to be their president for real. To our raw, pre-verbal minds that can't help but recognize a familiar face, the West Wing presented a vision of a respectable and competent Trump administration. A sort of nonverbal predictive programming or face vaccine to soften the shock when President Trump became a reality. No matter how alarmed we become at Trump's chaotic reign, we can keep calm and carry on because subconsciously we have seen that same face play the role maturely. And indeed, people have turned to rewatching The West Wing as a sort of escapist balm to soothe the pain of Trump's aggravating presence on their TVs. Little do they realize they are engaging with Trump's image even more deeply than if they were to restrict themselves to non-fiction media. Meanwhile, Esquire thinks Martin Sheen is the best choice to play a fictional version of Trump. But could it be that the reality TV president is himself a fictional character? It's a popular joke that Trump is so outrageous he must be a prank played by a comedian, or that he is a TV character and best understood as such. We simply suggest taking such jokes literally. Most people have at least an intuition that the country is run by people behind the scenes. Even if they believe that the president is an ethical subject struggling with epic responsibilities, most understand that the president is so cowed by powerful interests, if not entirely beholden to them, that the most important decisions are effectively made elsewhere. It was a running joke during the W. Bush years that he was a mere frontman for Dick Cheney or Karl Rove or Leo Strauss. These days, the popular puppet master is Putin. All the better to enhance the escapist fantasy of the West Wing, whose POTUS wasn't a proxy. But a more insidious effect of the West Wing is just this basic delusion that we have some more or less accurate idea of what it's like to be president, what the president does when they're not on screen, what it's like to follow the president as they walk off the set and into the real work of their job. But what if all these behind-the-scenes glimpses are deliberate misinformation, meant to create an illusion of continuity in the character of the president? A misdirection designed to humanize the president, literally. Not to make you like them, but just to make you think they're human. Not because they're really lizards, but because they're fictional characters. The president is a crowd management ruse, a lightning rod or rodeo clown made up to distract angry bulls. That is, to distract you. It doesn't matter if you despise them as long as you're thinking about their continuous existence between one public appearance and the next. All the rumors of heinous crimes help to keep people fixated on what they imagine are the real private lives of celebrities. What if all that negative publicity is weaponized not against the subject of the story, but against the audience? Against you? The behind-the-scenes soap opera of Trump versus the Swamp is quite a compelling drama, we understand, but it's compelling for a reason. It's on a mission to occupy our attention, like an army occupying a city. People in the past probably gossiped about their rulers' personal vices just as much as we do, but they didn't expect to see them all the time. These days, our leaders are very visible, and we expect them to look like they belong there. Usually, this is a semi-automatic effect of a career in politics. They were a senator or a governor, and now they're president. They're from that world. The last president who broke this pattern was Eisenhower, head coach of the Allied effort in World War II, but a political rookie, who also just happened to be a dead ringer for the King of Hollywood, as we showed in a previous video. Thanks to Clark Gable, Eisenhower always looked like he belonged in a leading role. Donald Trump was already the king of reality TV, but looked like he belonged in the White House thanks to Martin Sheen. It seems counterintuitive at first. Why use an actor that might be recognized, let alone one of the most famous actors of the time? But as we've learned from other bold hoaxes, only a tiny minority will ever recognize it consciously, no matter how flagrant the signs. The whole point is the subconscious effects, both the dreamy smear of contrasting characters and the cognitive dissonance caused by raw recognition that can't be consciously processed.
One thing I know, and I think other people know, is that when a politician goes on TV, he has to have charisma, or he's dead. And some people, charisma means looking like a lot of other people, like Cronkite. If you reassure people by resembling a lot of other people they know and approve of, you have charisma. But if you don't have a resemblance to a lot of other people who are socially acceptable, then you had better stay out of politics.
Martin Sheen played the anti-Trump, the president people wish they had instead of Trump, but he also played the president that they're most afraid Trump really is, the independent populist Greg Stilson from the Dead Zone, who launches nukes on a mad whim. That fear is probably unrealistic, but at least we know he won't drop the bomb in a drunken stupor. Trump is a lifelong teetotaler, and Martin Sheen has been sober for over 3 decades. You remember that weird story from 2017 where Trump was arguing with Vietnam vets over Agent Orange versus napalm, and how dare he argue with people who were there? He seemed to confuse the two because of Apocalypse Now, and became defensive about his recall of the movie. Is that because he was there in the shit of that famously crazy set where Martin Sheen had a heart attack? No wonder he got sober. Okay, what about this completely weird detail? Donald Trump turned 74 in July. That's 888 weeks old. At that same time, there was a commercial on TV featuring Martin Sheen on a mission to save people money, specifically $8.88. Okay, maybe that's a coincidence. Okay, maybe that's probably a coincidence, but look at this. That is a hell of a coincidence, that resemblance. Since when do unrelated people look this much alike by accident? And it gets better. Look at this. Even people who, quote, look alike don't have the exact same proportions between features on the same sized head. And it's even more dramatic when they're laid on top of each other. Everything lines up perfectly. There's no significant blurring or difference between the layers. An extraordinary alignment of all features. Except for the hair, they're basically the same picture. These two are close to the same age. Trump is 5 years younger, and Sheen got his start in New York City, but really the biographical details are too unreliable. It's beside the point unless they show an insurmountable contradiction in their public appearances. And do please let us know which conflicts are most difficult to explain if you feel inspired to look into it, but we're going to focus on the photographic evidence and why it makes sense as a psyop. We offer these images as an argument, but resemblance is subjective. Can it ever be proof? Well, let's take a closer look at what we've got here, see if there's anything more concrete. One difference is these weird maxi-pad-looking flaps on Trump's nose. What's going on here? Are these inflamed sinuses or some kind of prosthetic? But that's not the main problem with Trump's nose here. What's up with this shadow? It's very black, too black, as if the only light source is directly overhead, which is clearly not the case. Without that heavy shadow, it's the same nose. And that shadow is fake. This is an error level analysis showing that the compression rate for that specific part of the image is inconsistent with the rest of the image. A classic trace of manipulation. But why alter a photo of Trump? Is it supposed to make him look better somehow? Or is the point to make him look different from the guy he looks too much like? I mean, our claims are radical, there's no doubt about that, but why else are they adding fake nose shadows to pictures of famous people? And to be clear, this manipulated image is a Getty image. It was not ripped from just any old website. Is that why it's not called Getty Photographs? This issue has been with us since the first image of our first video. The same error level analysis of Neil Armstrong shows a strange anomaly on his neck. Is this related to the bizarre story about Yuri Gagarin's telltale neck mole? Maybe not that, but the question remains, why manipulate the photo at all? And especially, is this kind of manipulation common? How many similarly manipulated images have you seen but never thought to doubt? Is it dozens or thousands? Do you ever look closely enough that you would notice? It was good to see people scrutinizing photos of Epstein and Maxwell last year, but why look twice at boring stock photos of celebs? What could we possibly learn from examining those? Martin Sheen has played many political roles as an actor and as an activist. He is the most arrested celebrity in Hollywood for a wide variety of liberal causes and has appeared in many films that strongly criticize conservative institutions like Catch-22 and Wall Street. It is curious that the one major movie where Charlie and Martin Sheen appear together as father and son is the one whose sequel features Donald Trump, who was willing to appear in Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, even though those films are pretty hostile to the predatory princes of New York finance. Is Trump friends with Oliver Stone? Martin Sheen was friendly enough to be the narrator of Stone's film about JFK. Very curious that his lookalike Trump is now thought by many to be effectively an agent of the Kennedy family, narrating a gradual disclosure of the swamp's role in that legendary mystery. Sheen has been described as a friend of the Kennedys. He's played both J and RFK, and his son Emilio directed a film about the night that Bobby was retired. So, if you squint, you can maybe accept that Trump is Sheen and yet still preserve the basic Q idea of a cold civil war between rival factions of poly-celebrities, though that would certainly complicate the map of white hats and black hats. We, however, tend to think that it undermines that whole adversarial narrative, instead indicating a kind of theater troupe situation, where the heroes and villains are all played by the same conspiracy. More to the point, some people suspect the character of Q is based on a book by Luther Blissett, an open collective pen name known as a multiple single. The Q drops are also said to have multiple authors, and they emphasize an open collaboration with the audience, giving the whole thing a somewhat neoist flavor, or something like that. Is Donald Trump a character played by multiple people, as Dick Gregory insisted? Or is this person a single multiple, an actor who plays more than one famous character? We don't mean to imply that Donald Trump is a mere character, but the actor Martin Sheen is a real person. No, we doubt that any big name is actually a real person. After all, the CIA is known for creating fake identities, well supported by elaborate backstories, and they are masters of the ancient art of disguise. Which brings up an important question for today. Who benefits from everybody wearing face masks? If people are starting to look at you too closely and catching on to your disguise tricks, an excuse to hide your face could come in very handy. Perhaps more importantly, the mask mandates have given us all a taste of what it's like to be one of these people who are too famous to show their face in public, who lament that they can't go shopping like a normal person without a disguise. Now we know how that feels. As if they're imposing a kind of mandatory empathy for their predicament. Now imagine that whenever a celebrity does show their famous face, wherever they appear, whether in person in public or on set on screen, imagine they are wearing a mask even then. That they have to perform and exude their celebrity charisma, or else act natural, while wearing not just makeup, but disguising face clothes and prosthetic extensions of their face. Even as we are forced to wear our own half-assed anonymizing disguises, we still don't know the half of what it means to be a poly-celebrity. But we certainly have a novel situation here in 2020. Celebrities now are like Queen Victoria, never seen in public. You may already have seen your last celebrity in real life. Forget a chance encounter, you can't even buy a ticket to see one anymore. They have disappeared behind the screen. Though they seem more visible than ever now, less augmented by makeup and all the heavy industry of the TV image, seen now in their own living rooms rather than big budget sets, apparently bearing their real selves to an unprecedented degree. And not because they chose to. But no, what appears to be a movement toward greater realism is in fact the disappearance of the real. Although the professional celebrity image has mostly collapsed and been replaced by the amateur selfies of the celebrities themselves, these more casual images are all the more alienating since they can no longer be compared to the truly amateur images taken by fans in the wild. You can no longer go watch a concert by that artist or a taping of that talk show and verify at least that a real person played that part in a real location. No more of that. We've been warned about deepfakes for years, but this, here, in the aftermath of the war on events, when all the celebrities have disappeared from public, this is the dawning of the age of the deepfake. But what does this mean for the election? Well, we suspect this guy will continue to be president one way or another, but who knows? It seems like the going will get weird. And the best thing you can do with this knowledge is chill the fuck out. The president is an actor. The better you understand that, the more slack you can find in the cacophony. As you watch the show, just know that the dramatic tensions between the characters do not necessarily reflect similar tensions between the actors. As the fall unfolds, just remember, we live inside a dream.